I think that the more I try to chase happiness, the less happy I am. Obviously, pretty trite.
Yeah, it's really important to stay here because so many people are stuck exactly where you're stuck. The first thing I do want to say is that living a spiritual life is not the same as living a happy life. Love is the most difficult practice of all. To love something is to take something as a part of yourself. That includes the things you hate the most. That includes your enemy. It's one of the most painful things you will ever do in your life. It includes expanding wide enough to take the universe as a part of yourself. That means every truth. Swallowing every truth is so painful, especially given the reality of where, especially if you're focused on humanity, the reality of where humanity is not good. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a bunch of teachers. So I don't want you to mistake happiness with spirituality. Where I feel like people can experience greater fulfillment by virtue of living a spiritual life is because you're so deeply connected with something that goes so beyond your minute individual day-to-day life. Mm. With those deeper experiences, right? You have a deeper level of joy, I can say, than most people can touch, right? Okay, but now that we know that, let's switch over to this conversation around attachment of desires. When we are attached to what it is that we are wanting so desperately, what happens is that we are convinced we can't experience joy unless those things come into our life. That is when we get ourselves in a hell of a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. And when it's more beneficial for us to think about, is my enjoyment completely dependent upon everything going exactly as I have planned it? Because the reality when you look at your life is, how often is that the case? Like in anybody's life, how often is it that you're like, this is what I would prefer, and the external world goes, great, let's perfectly arrange ourselves according to your preferences? Almost never. So if we make our joy in life completely dependent upon everything unfolding the way we want it to, we are in a lot of trouble. That's why the relationship we need to build with our desire is not that it is getting what we desire is the prerequisite for our happiness, but that there is an element of fulfillment and joy and happiness that can be gained from having a dynamic relationship with your desire. Mm-hmm. Meaning, I desire this thing, I go in the direction of it, I actualize something that I'm wanting. This entire path of doing so offers these moments of rapture. I mean, these moments where you're tasting something you've never tasted. You're touching a truth you've never realized before. I mean, there's nuggets on this trail, basically. And, when people said it's more about the journey than the destination, that's ultimately what they're saying. So a lot of these practices that help people to let go of their desire, that's really all it's doing. It's making it so that you find your joy in other ways than the unfolding of your perfect preferences. And the appreciation of what is. Which we also fail to do, right?
Yes.
When you don't have the perfect boyfriend, it's like, I don't know how good this tea is, really.
So a lot of people I've talked to lately are going through it.
Oh yeah.
Pretty intense times. So I'm curious, what's going on? Is this a planetary thing? And I also just want to say, is all our ancestral trauma related to something going on with the planet, like how intense it's coming up right now? Or
okay, so I'll give you the picture of what's going on universally, which has been really intense to watch. And it goes like this. Most of us, back to the desire conversation, most of us, when we experience what is unwanted, we give rise to these desperate desires. But inherent in this dynamic here between the unwanted and the wanted is this land of extreme aversion. We do so much in our lives out of this energy of aversion. It's like we are running away, we are pushing away, anti, right? And it's getting us in a lot of trouble, basically. So what's happened is that, universally speaking, and this involves planets, this involves other, dimensions. It definitely involves Earth itself. Anything that's focused towards human consciousness, especially, is not interested in our escapism anymore. So what is happening universally is this: you will not be able to avoid what it is that you have been avoiding. That thing you have lived your life so as to not experience. We are done doing that. Great, guys. That's going to be fun. So it's almost like every person right now is like a cat in a bag. And by the way, this doesn't only apply to humans. This is a vibration that's even affecting other species. Whatever the aversion is, you're getting closed in it like a cat in a bag. So it's like you go this way and it's like, nope, this way, nope, until you're like, until the aversion starts to dissipate. So it's like it's no small feat. But how this applies to ancestral stuff is that we've been doing the same damn thing for so many generations. You guys, if you just study like a specific race of people and you go all the way back through time and you look at what their preferences and aversions are, you watch them, here's where as a group they demonstrated an aversion here. And then here they demonstrated the aversion against. And the aversion is always at any cost, right? And that cost, wow, does that do damage to like other people, other species, the planet itself, they themselves? I mean, it's like it creates this carnage dynamic. And what we're doing right now, and it's very scary, is we're getting to a point in this pressure cooker where our aversions and therefore graspings, attachments, are about to kill us off.
Yeah.
I wish I could make it lighter for you, but it's the reality. Human beings right now have reached this critical point where they continue this and they don't exist anymore. I don't even need to make this complicated for you. We're smart enough to develop weaponry that can take us all out. Bam. At the same time as not having developed mastery of relationships. That's scary. So right now, it's like if we don't change these patterns, there's a massive consequence.
Yeah.
As there would be in a time-space reality based off of cause and effect. It's not personal even.
I want to speak to that too, because there's something I hear like a lot of my friends saying, like my girlfriend is a boom, insert bad word. And like 10 years ago, when I was in a relationship with this girlfriend, none of this happened. Like, could it be true that because things are just coming up intensely more now than ever, that it's actually like if you switch your girlfriend out, the same thing's going to happen? Because I just want to caution people, like, because things are coming up so intense right now. If you listen to this, don't run, because you might get more of what you're running from.
Not might.
You will. Yeah.
This universe is not being friendly right now. Oh, it is like, oh, you're going to run away from her? How can we get you with 3 of them at once? Oh, it is like, it is no mean feat. I myself, in the profession that I'm in, and also in the personal practice that I'm in, it's like I'm like a big wave surfer for consciousness. Even I am getting into places in this where I'm like, if I am struggling to this degree with the stuff that I'm being confronted with, I don't even know how the average person is breathing.
Yeah.
Like, it is extreme.
Yeah. Well, that's why we here are trying to get people in touch with the healing power of their heart. Like this heart energy that exists within us. That's our mission, is to get people to feel that. And, we have a lot of people coming together to do this. So I'm curious, what do you believe the heart's role is in our individual and planetary transformation?
What's coming up when you ask that question specifically is that it's this great connector. So in a world full of extreme levels of separation, and right now that is a big theme that people are struggling with, because it's one of the main aversions for the human race, is this feeling and perception of aloneness, right? I see the heart as being, let's say, that antidote to that separation. So it's almost like when everybody's on fire, which is what it looks like, from a non-physical place, it looks like everyone's on fire. When everyone's running around on fire, feeling alone in their pain, it's like the heart is kind of pulsing, calling them into this remedy, the space of remedy, which is the way we behave, the way that we interact with each other, the way we look at life,
Yeah.
It's interesting that just came up spontaneously. I don't know whether I would give the same answer if I was asked the same question later, but that is definitely what comes up talking to you.
I love that. I think if you're okay with it, could we just take like a minute to drop into the heart together, all of us, and just connect? Yeah. So anybody watching, We just talked about all the pain that everyone's experiencing. So let's all just go into the heart for a second and melt that out. So if you could just focus your attention in the area of your heart and imagine that your breath is flowing in and out of your heart, your chest area, breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. Try a pace of 5 seconds on the in-breath, 5 seconds on the out-breath, in and out through the heart. Now, as you're breathing in and out through your heart, give thanks for your heart. As long as your heart beats, you have life. Feel the blood rushing in your heart, the strength of your heart.
And still breathing in and out of your heart. Take a moment to send love to everyone who is watching this or will be watching this, everyone in this group and beyond. And just send them love from your heart, especially anyone who feels lonely or really needs that energy right now.
Yeah, I like that. The heart is the big connector. Thank you for saying that.
It's also a huge. When I watch the two of you do that, there's this element to what you're describing as love that's a very powerful warmth. It's like a furnace to all of the harshness and cold that's happening in the world.
Yeah. Well, let's turn on that heat.
I love that.
She's got a lot of heat. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's one of my most favorite qualities in somebody when they're warm.
That's you. That is definitely you. Yeah.
Yeah. So we would love to hear how we can support you. You have this amazing course. So anybody listening,
I'm doing the course.
Yeah, that might be struggling with ancestral healing. Tell us about your offering.
My offering. Yeah. So I did an ancestral healing course because I wanted people to be able to really practically get into it. Because when we use this word ancestral healing, it's so abstract, it just drives me crazy. Because it's like for most people, they're like, well, what? I don't go out of body. Like, I don't know these people. How am I supposed to heal crap that happened hundreds of years ago? So what this course ultimately does is to break down for your understanding exactly what ancestral healing is, exactly how to do it, why it's necessary to do it, and then step-by-step practical ways to go about doing it. It's like a lot more intense than most people are prepared for, but it is special, Nice. It's also intensely personal. It's something I love about it. It's like everybody's going to have a different journey here because everybody has different ancestry. Yeah.
It is.
That's my offering.
I'm doing the course,
and I'm a old fan of the self-love course too.
Okay. So with the ancestral healing stuff, what has been happening for you doing that course? I'm really interested.
Yeah. So just going through and starting, well, first of all, some parts of it just actually connecting and then connecting to the good parts too.
Yeah.
Like we think about it like, oh, this is everything that's wrong with us because of our people. But it's also like, oh, I'm really good at this because of my people.
Exactly. Yeah. I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions people have when it comes to ancestral healing is that we ascribe only wrongness. And it's better to think about ancestral inheritance like you're coming in with a deck of cards and you've got some real aces in there and you've got some real that's a really low card and it's been a problem for my family forever. So you're kind of figuring out how to play that deck of cards. And a big part of being able to effectively play that deck of cards is to play your aces, which a lot of people just don't even resource it. And which is another reason why it's so fun to find out about your heritage. Because when you actually get those anecdotes, you're like, oh my gosh, there it is, That's the reason I've never been afraid of business endeavor, or that's where my extreme athleticism comes from, or, oh my gosh, it's weird. I'm so good at music. And look, all my people were too. So I'm glad you're finding that. What is some of the stuff you found that's been like a hell yeah gift from your family line?
it's so embarrassing to talk about things you're good at. Why is that?
Come on, let's hear it.
What am I really? Well, I'll tell you what. I think that I think I received that warmth from my family.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's super sweet.
Mm.
See, I value that because I don't have any warmth on either side. So it's like a reptile chilliness on both sides. So like, me, that's something where if I saw that in a family line, I'd be like, oh, I'm jealous of that one.
Yeah. So that is really a big one. And I think sense of humor, both of my family, it's like a lot of Irish funniness, taking things light. Those are two that probably have meant the most to me as they come up.
Now that you said that, that's your dichotomy. So the Irish are interesting. To come into that ancestry is interesting because they've got that sort of lighthearted side of them, but it's juxtaposed to this incredibly deep, poetic almost relationship to life.
Yes, it really is. It's like the lightest. Everything is funny, and yet there's this deep well of pain where everything is just like kind of poetic and dark at the same time.
Yep.
And I think those are both. I mean, I do enjoy my poetic darkness and my, and I think it manufactures music and writing and I mean, I think all art for me is mostly either pain or like romantic love, feelings like excitement. It's one or the other.
You would be good friends with Taylor Swift.
Can I get in her crew?
Have you been to Ireland?
No, but I'm thinking, and I will go. And I think we should go.
Let's do it.
You should go. And do you know where from Ireland you're from? Because the county matters.
I do know. So
Cork,
I can head.
You said Cork, or
yes,
yeah,
County Cork. Okay.
Yeah,
Cork.
Nice.
Yeah. So those are my two favorite things. I think that made me feel the most connected. I really feel those two things.
You inspire me to take this course now. And so you're saying it won't matter if my dad's adopted and I don't necessarily know all that. I can still.
No, you can work with whatever you have. So I don't know if some people are really against these genetic tests because there's a whole dark side to those too. But I mean, if I was me personally, if I was in an adoption situation, I would definitely get my genetics done. Because they're getting good enough now that they can identify certain regions that you're from. And this just opens the gates, in a big way. Because if you figure out what region you're from, you can just start researching about it. And I'm telling you, it is so just insane when you start the research part of this. It's like a treasure hunt from heaven. It's like an Easter egg hunt. It feels exactly the same. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. So, and it's just, there's no end to the research. That's what I love about genealogy in general. It will never end, ever. Why? Because you may be like, today you may have a nugget like, I have ancestry from Poland, let's say.
Yeah.
Then it's like, you'll find another nugget, which is, I found the name of somebody and I know what era they were there. Now it's like another nugget. What was happening during that time? What was the life like? Are there any personal accounts? Can I eat that food that they used to eat then? Can I go visit the place? What does it feel like to step on the land? Now, let's say that you're actually in Poland. You're like, oh, wow, okay, so I know the city now that this person was from. There's a church that's still standing. Let me go look at the church records, see if they have my family name. And then it's like, that can open up a whole other chapter. So often it'll be like the person is like, oh yeah, let me tell you about that family. And then it's like a whole other chapter. You're like, wait, what? My fourth great grandfather was what? It's so cool. Oh, so I mean, it's like the juicier it gets, the juicier it gets. And it will shock you the amount of information you can find if you're looking, but you got to become like an FBI agent.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds fun. I have one more question I want to ask because my mind's just like blown. But so say, a kid gets born, right? Say I heal my ancestral trauma and then I have a kid. Will he get it? Or will it be turned off? Like, okay. So it does actually matter what period of your life you have the baby.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, I wish I could just put like non-physical goggles on you to see what happens. The ripples are endless. It's insane. This is one thing I just love about this. It doesn't even matter necessarily whether you yourself have progeny. Mm-hmm. You are affecting everybody downstream of you in that family line. And I mean, and it will shock you. It is so crazy when people start to do this work on themselves, how like nieces, nephews, of course their own kids, but like there will be these weird breakthroughs and shifts in the family and you're like, what? It is so cool.
Let's do it.
That is really true. And I can't think of ways where when I got better, suddenly people got better around me, even that lived like 8 hours away.
Exactly. It's just, yeah.
It is so true.
Cool.
Because you got to think about a family like a web. If whatever you're doing over here on this filament of the web is vibrating out, so it's like, I mean, you are affecting everyone who is connected to you. And your family, let's say that everybody in the world's connected, but your family's like this. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter where you are, you know? I love this story. I don't know if you guys know this, but Queen Victoria, right? There was an assassination on her and her husband. And her mother, at the very same time, it was nowhere near them. At the very same time, she fell sick immediately and got chills through her whole body. So it's like we are connected at a level, no matter, regardless of distance